Introducing Shantell Dean. We heard on the grapevine that you bought your first house at 19 years of age. Tell us how you did that.
All about having that motivation and that determination and that belief in yourself.
This is Bishop Wendell Brereton, and we are
The Beloved Podcast.
coming to you from Emmanuel Church of Jesus Christ, Apostolic in Toronto, 10 Maplewood Avenue. Executive producer Devon Thompson and evangelist Thompson. And we're here to ask the questions that cause Christians and others to this thing, really what's going on. We're on the Spring Fling edition. It's March. We're getting ready for the spling, the spling, as we say spling, the spring. I'm going on vacation next week, so everybody's dressed for vacation.
He's excited.
Okay? And we're here to have what we call our first episode of Church Business.
That's right.
That's right. This is not about minding people business. This is about building business. And we have our building wealth. And we have our first guest ever on the Beloved Podcast. Introducing Shantell Dean.
Hello.
Greetings.
Hello. Good afternoon to everybody.
Mover and a shaker. We're going to get into all of the different businesses and how she builds business. She's an entrepreneur. She's a mom. She's a mogul. And we're going to just talk about some things. A hustler. First of all, let's establish this. We heard on the grapevine that you bought your first house at 19 years of age. Tell us how you did that.
So, yes, I did purchase my first home when I was 19 years old. At 19 years old, there's so many things that you could buy other than a house. And I wanted to buy a Range Rover. And that's what I set myself out to buy, was going to be a Range Rover. But instead, I said to myself, you know what? I just had my daughter, which was Mela at the time, and I want stability. And at that time, I said, you know what? I'm going to purchase a home. And that's what I decided to do at 19 years old, was purchase a home. And after purchasing that home, I continued to climb the ladders and invest in other properties. And here I am today.
You are. Listen, on this panel, we have a lot of people who have been young moms at 19. Stupid me, I get married at 19. Don't know what the heck I'm doing. But we have all of these young momagers, all these young mom managers. Tell us, like, at 19, how did you manage? Like, did you have a down payment? Did you have a sugar daddy? Like, because we want to know. We need to know this stuff. Like, how did you manage to pull off the purchasing of your own home? And you said the motivation was too that you had a child. So get us into it. Some young people are watching, they're saying, well, how did she do that?
So, I was working at the Bank of Montreal for a couple of years before I purchased my home. So I saved my money, and it was a priority for me to save and not spend, So I saved my money and I purchased my first home. And I want to give thanks to my grandmother at the time, who helped to co-sign because my credit was not the best.
That's awesome, yeah.
So with that being said, I was able to purchase a house.
How much was it?
That house was about $3-something. I do remember my down payment, which was $18,750. I'll never forget that.
Yep.
So, it wasn't an easy thing, because when I purchased my first home, I initially wanted it to be a whole thing where it was a family thing. I didn't come from a golden spoon. I came from a very hard life, and I wanted to do something that was going to kind of shift the whole thing for our family, which was myself, my brothers, my sisters, my mom, and initially I wanted to do it as a team, but unfortunately things didn't work out the way how it was supposed to, so I went forward and closed the property myself.
Wow.
So it was pretty amazing. As I said, it was not ideally what I wanted to do. As I said, I did want to have family members, do it as a team type of thing, but unfortunately, I don't want to really get too deep into that, but family members weren't,
They weren't ready to help.
they weren't ready for
and
that move.
that's indicative of sometimes and let's be honest, in African diaspora culture,
Yes.
a lot of times those individuals didn't come from the type of money or the knowledge base to be able to help their children or their next generation.
Yes.
You know, a lot of times, you know, they get in loans in their children's name, like,
Yeah.
you know, so it's not something that it's strange to us to realize that sometimes it doesn't work out with the family to do that. But, you know, it's amazing that you go from there, because just for some background information, Shantell and I met over 10 years ago, and she was into mortgages. I had gotten my mortgage license, and thinking about this, you know, that wasn't too much longer, because she's in her low 30s now. And I met her 10 years ago. I'm like, wait a minute. Like, you were really young when we met, and she was a mortgage agent. So you went from working at the bank to being now a mortgage agent.
Yes.
Tell us about that. Like, tell us, and I know we're asking before, how do you become a mortgage agent?
Well, the transition had to happen. I was tired of working the 9-to-5 life. I was tired of waking up every morning, having to come to the bank, and you know, you're late, you're gonna get in trouble. You don't show up, you're gonna get in trouble. Even if I'm sick or I'm not feeling well, I had to show up because my job would have been jeopardized. So at that point, I was worried, you know what I mean? I was really worried about, you know, I don't want to do this no more. I don't want to have to be working 9 to 5. And then realistically, the 9-to-5ers are not only working 9 to 5, they're working, I would say, 12-hour shifts.
That's
because
right.
you got to consider the fact that you got to wake up, you got to prepare yourself, you got to get to work. If it's a bus, if it's car, that takes time. And then you got to think about it, you know, after work, you got to take your time to get back home. You got to prioritize yourself, get, you know, dinner sorted out, get your clothes sorted out, get yourself kind of relaxed, and, you know, by
Just
the
to
time
do it all over the next day.
Exactly, to do the same thing the next day. And I was at the point where I'm just like, I don't want to do this no more. And I said, you know what can I do next to make money? And boom, real estate. I first wanted to get my real estate license. That's the funniest thing. I actually registered and everything to get my real estate license. And then I can't remember who told me, but a partner of mine or somebody said to me, no, get your mortgage license, it's easier. I got my mortgage license, and when I got my mortgage license, I kind of was pushing forward with that. Don't think that you're gonna make money right away. That's not gonna happen. You have to understand that purchasing a property is the biggest purchase that you'll make in your lifetime, and people want to go with trustworthy people, especially like Wendell said, I was very young when I started off, you know what I mean? Who wants to trust this 21, 22-year-old girl to give them a mortgage, you know what I mean? They're like, no, I don't want to trust this girl. And it took time, you know what I mean? It took time, and you know, the way you look and what you drive definitely has a big part in this real estate.
I understand that. Yep, absolutely.
It's not a joke, you know. You gotta pull up with that nice Louis bag. You gotta pull up, you know, in that nice Mercedes Benz. You can't be pulling up in a Mazda and thinking that people are gonna come and you know what I mean. No,
you're absolutely right.
One thing
It's
I
so
figured
truthful.
out. One thing I figured out in this business is that, you know, you gotta look like money to have them spend their money with you. If you don't look like money, they don't want to spend their money with you. And not only that, but realistically, a lot of people don't want to feel that they're building you up. They want to know that you're already built up, and
Great points.
they're not adding more to your pocket. So that's what I find, that you have to kind of depart yourself different from everybody else, you know what I mean? And I remember one time, this is a really good example. I remember one time I met up with this is like a connection, and I met up with a real estate agent, and I had my broker showed up, and I believe he had like a Camry at the time, and I had a Mercedes truck, and he's like, broker.
Broker has a Camry, and the agent has a.
So it's like, as I said, like, you know, it's really sad, but as I said, once again, the way you look and what you drive really is a big thing when it comes to this business. You know what I mean? You gotta look like money. So I really started pushing myself in that angle where I was getting little things to kind of fit in a bit, you know? So as I said, it's not an easy business. You know,
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No problem,
So
love.
when you say appearance matters, so my question is, if I want to get into real estate, let's just say real estate,
Yes.
and I have no license, do you think someone could just get into this industry with the fancy car, with no former education in this, as long as you have like the right connections? Can you make a living doing this?
So to answer that question, you have to have the education because you have to go to school to get the license, right? So you are going to go to school where they're going to teach you about mortgages. You have to pass a test. And you have to pass a
Gotta
test.
go to Remick.
With a certain percentage.
So a lot of people are faking these like diplomas and these real estate licenses. So what do you say about that?
Well, okay, let me deal with the first question. First of all, let's say you just want to get in
Yeah,
and you don't know
exactly.
anything.
Right.
You might be able to, and I think we try to do this too, because, Shantell and I we just had so many ideas. You bring in somebody who's a good marketer.
Yeah.
They don't have their license, right? You get them a business card as an assistant, and all they do is they go out, they network, and they bring people to you, right? And now you show them how you build the deal, and you mentor them. They take the Remick course that both of us took at the time, and then they get licensed. So there's a pathway to it where you simply are a person who you know what? I can utilize you to market. And I think a lot of people did that in the 90s. You saw a lot of women, whether they were immigrant women or otherwise, come into real estate, tag teaming with another individual, being mentored, and that woman or that good-looking person presented a marketing draw to some extent, and then she was mentored into the business. So that part. But then as far as the fraudulence going on, there's a lot of frauds in mortgages.
Oh, yeah.
Can you
lot.
speak to any? Listen,
Yeah.
it's a hustle.
That's why.
Without incriminating ourselves. There's a lot of hustle. There's a lot of things that go on in the acquisition of getting money.
Yes.
There's private lending, where you have private individuals who basically lend their personal money at a particular rate. They charge a little bit more. This is the thing to know. When I bought my house in Brampton, the gentleman gave me a second mortgage, and then he attached a private mortgage to it. I didn't care because I'm like,
You just wanted the
I
property.
want the property.
Yeah,
I want to
yeah.
get in the property. What I didn't realize is that each additional lender that he adds is an additional commission that he was adding to
An additional
himself.
fee to you.
An additional fee to me.
Yeah.
Right? So it's completely legal. But because of my own ignorance, he would say, okay, we're going to give you a second of this amount, and then we're going to throw on maybe a third of a mortgage, or we're going to give you a first of this amount, and we're going to throw on a second of a private. So these kind of things, if you don't have somebody who is actually just honest, you might have a very bad experience from the very first time.
And I think that's why me and Wendell connected, because Wendell knows that I pull teeth and strings to try to make it happen for my people, I go above and beyond, and, like he said, it's not easy. This business is not an easy business, and it's not easy to get a mortgage, you know what I mean? Especially if you're just a single person. Yeah. A two household is better than one, right? Income-wise, not everybody's making 100K, you know what I mean, or more. Yes. So it's not easy to get into this market nowadays, It's changed a lot, you know what I mean? The property pricing has gone up significantly.
Stress tests.
Interest rates,
That's right.
all of that stuff. It's insane right now.
So now I want to transition, because this is not all this lady does. So we started in that scenario, and then I realized that Shantell Dean has a fur coat business.
Oh, I love it.
Tell us about that.
Okay, so I have a fur business. I've had it for a couple of years now. Mm-hmm. Wow, a couple years.
You had it back then.
Yeah, I used to have my store right there on St. Clair. right there on St. Clair and Christie. I had my first store right on top of my dad's restaurant. And I had it there for a couple of years, and it was amazing. And I love furs. If you see me in the winter, you will definitely see me in all sorts of furs. Fox, rabbit.
All the PETA people are like this.
So
I love,
I've got 3 furs.
Yeah, so I love my furs, and I love to see people looking fashionable, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And I love to see the smile on their face. So I said, why not start a business? So I started my business. And listen, just an FYI, if you want to start that business, just start the business.
I
Don't
was just
wait.
going to ask.
Because a lot of people procrastinate and say, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this, I got to do that. Start the business.
I have a question.
All those things will fall into place, but you got to start the business. That's the first start of it all.
No.
Just start it. Go ahead, love. Sorry, honey.
Did you put together a business plan? Like, tell us, like, walk us through, like, the steps, like, just
No.
generally. Like,
I didn't start with a business plan. I didn't do anything. I just noticed that a lot of people loved my furs. So every time I was walking, they would say, hey, where'd you get the fur from? Oh, I love the fur. So I said, okay, boom, popped up in my mind, sell furs.
right.
So right there, I said, okay, where am I going to get these furs from? So I started doing my due diligence. I had 3 wholesalers that I would buy furs from, and I started just posting it up. You know, easily started posting it up. Hey, I got this fur here for sale. And
That's right.
that's how it started. And then, boom, you got your first client. You take a picture, you know, you have them share it with other people. And then you get another client,
Another
you get another
customer,
client. And then, boom, you say, okay, well, let me get my Instagram page up. Let me get my Facebook page up. Then I started doing that. And it was, I'm not going to lie, it was pretty awesome how it just increased so fast. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. Like, people were coming from all walks of life to come and buy furs from me. I was like, this is so awesome. And then I see the girls and the guys in their furs, and they look so nice. And I'm like, wow. You know, so I was just beyond happy with my fur business. Unfortunately, the store ended up closing. So right now, I'm, you know.
Don't tell them what you're doing yet.
Yeah, things are happening.
I'm going to move.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I have a question. Did you have a lot of knowledge in regards to marketing before you started?
No.
Okay.
Like everything, like as I said, everything comes as you start.
If
know
you
what I
were to
mean?
start that now, do you think that you would have to have a know-how of how to market your product based on?
Would you change how you're doing it?
Yes, thank you.
No.
Okay.
Because with respects to like starting a business and pushing a business, you just gotta walk. You literally just gotta walk. You get me? When you start to walk, you will start to see those things that you need to do. They will pop up and you'll be able to do them, you know? You just gotta start, you know what I mean? As I said, like I literally started from wearing the furs, and somebody said, hey, I love the fur. And I'm like, oh, let me start it. Went out, started figuring out where I'm gonna get these furs from. Boom, started posting it. Got my first sale. All right, let me start getting another sale. So everything just comes together.
You're a visionary. And I think when you, and I'm sorry, I'm going to hit it back to you, but there's, I think, different levels of business. There's people who are good operationally, right? And then there are people who have that entrepreneurial spirit where they have the vision and they go after that. And that's huge because maybe that's 90% of it, right? So you go after it. And I think what has to come next is you need, I would call it the stabilizers. You need people who come in there and now help you, the accountants and the bookkeepers and the people who have the capacity to say, no, don't do that yet, do this, the counselors, the advisors, you know? So, but being a visionary, I think is, you know, something that a lot of people, we don't have that. We don't have that capacity to go out there. Like you said, people looked at you, liked your coat, and you said, I see an opportunity here. And so.
And let me just say one thing, and this is so serious. I can't express how serious this is because I'm an entrepreneur, and I've been an entrepreneur for over a decade, and I'm going to say it straight up. Do not expect support from your family and friends.
That's right. Absolutely.
I'm going to say that again.
I was just
There's
gonna
going to
ask
be people from literally a hole in the wall that are going to believe in you more than your family
That's
and
right.
friends.
Yeah.
And I just got to push this out there. I remember when I was starting my fur business and I got a couple furs and my dad was like, "Is this legal?" And I'm like, like seriously, like
You sell them out of the trunk of your car.
and yeah, no, seriously. And the funniest thing is about it is that, like, I would say a year later, I had a fur party at my dad's restaurant and he was there rocking the furs.
Of course.
Wow.
Absolutely.
So, like, don't expect the support from your family and friends, They will support you after but
you're
they're not going to
successful.
support you at the start. And it's quite sad, but
It's scripture. A prophet has no honor in his own country or in his own home. It's seemingly that the visionary, the person that is the mover and the shaker, the leader, it's others that see it prior to the people who are close to you. Go ahead.
Exactly.
Thank you. I will definitely attest to what you said about lack of support from your own. I believe I have a very entrepreneurial mindset, and I'm someone that's very good at sourcing things. I'm really big on aesthetics and things that look really good. And I've just
Well,
been
you can
gifted.
tell. Look at you, girl.
Well, thank you. I've just been really gifted with being able to find things that I really like at a very, very good cost. And I've worked really hard in understanding how to cut out that middleman, right, of getting that product. What has affected me and my sister, because we do this together, I'm into the hair, I'm into the clothing, I'm into all of that. I found that if you don't have capital to start, you're stuck.
Yes.
You are stuck, and that's where I'm in right now. And I'm like, literally, talking to God, and I'm like, Father, I just need a start. I'm not asking you for a lot, but I'm asking you for a start. And thank God I have my sister where she was able to help, and my friend here. You've watched me over years trying to start and just coming to a halt because you need to be able to make that money, sell your product, take your profit and turn it back and keep on buying. So you're not going to make money for a long time. My goal is not to make a lot of money to start, it's to build a brand.
Yes.
But if you don't have capital, what do you do?
Yeah. If you don't have capital now,
See, if you don't have seed money,
Yes.
you don't have seed money.
I know what you mean.
If you don't have, startup money,
Oh, we could talk
then
about that.
that's something that you got to start working on, right?
Yes.
Even if you're working 9 to 5, it's easily taking out $50.
Oh, and that
$20,
has been done, yeah.
$100 each pay to go towards your business.
Yeah.
And
Right?
this is a 19-year-old who had $18,500 saved
Of
up
saving
for a down
money.
payment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I'm sure the RBC wasn't paying you,
An
$200,000.
astronomical amount of money.
They
Yeah.
weren't. They weren't. And
So-
the work that you got to put in is
Right.
absolutely ridiculous.
Right. So now let's transition her now because
And one other
I
thing,
do have another thing that I want
one
to
other
ask
thing
you.
I'm going
Sorry.
to say is I've done so many business in my life, and I'm such a firm believer in unity is power.
Yes.
And I'm a firm believer in doing things with people. And I've done businesses with family. I've done business with friends. And it's hard.
It is.
It gets really hard because they don't have the same motivation as you.
Work ethic, all of that.
They don't have the same work ethic as you.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that, you know everything. I'm just going to invest in the business. You do all the work. It doesn't work
I
like
just
that.
want to piggyback.
Then let me say it. You're going to have people, and you're going to have people that are going to try to steal your ideas.
Oh, girl.
You're going to have people, friends,
Oh, yeah.
family, that you're going to come up with an idea. And
What's
you're
your
gonna
vendor?
say,
Give me your vendor. You can give me your vendor. You have a lot of
yeah,
vendors.
not only that, you're going to have a person that you're going to say, hey, girl, let's start this business.
Just to see how
And they're
you...
going to go around you
Oh,
and
yeah.
start the business without you.
For sure. Absolutely.
So, I don't know
Tell
who
us
needs
how
to
you
hear
protect
this,
yourself from that.
but hey, if you
Quiet,
are
don't tell
starting a
anybody.
business, keep your mouth quiet.
That's right.
Yeah.
I believe that starting a business, you should start it by yourself. Just do the business by yourself. Sometimes that unity is just not it. You need to do it yourself. And I've gone through so many hurdles in my life, and it's not just one, it's not just two. I've been through many of people that stolen ideas from me, and I've gotten to a point in my life where I'm just like, I'm just gonna do it myself. Because at the end of the day, when I do it by myself, I always succeed.
That's right. Yeah, that's so true.
But when I do it with other people, it never works out. So just start that business.
Trust is huge. Like I remember when we first met, sometimes she would pitch me a deal, and we'd be like, listen, because in mortgages, you can say, let's say I don't have the lender, right? But it's my client. And I pitched a deal to her because I know she has the lender. She can steal the client.
That's right.
Right? So there has to be a level of trust to say, listen, we're going to split the commission. I'm not going to steal your business, because a lot of people don't think of, well, this is one client. What about the next 20 down the line that this person can bring to you, because they have the clients, you have the lender.
A lot of people don't have that mindset. They really don't.
Not at
I
all.
think, it's the selfishness. You're just looking at right now, but you're not looking at the future.
It's a dog-eat-dog world, right?
It's a dog-eat-dog world out
Yeah.
there, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
In any business, you know what I mean? I've tried so many different
I-
things with other people,
I think-
and it never worked
sorry.
out. Even here, I've tried a
Yeah.
lot of things.
But you know what? I think these things are good because it weeded out what needed to be weeded
Yes.
out for you.
Yes.
For you to grow and be where
Yes,
you're at right
and
now.
that's why I always tell people, like, when you go through things in life, and sometimes you're at the top and you drop to the bottom. Sometimes you have to drop to the bottom to get
That's
back
right.
into the top, where you're going to the
a
top and you're
learning
staying.
process.
Because for me, I believe that losses are wins.
True.
Because if I lose, I know what I did,
Right.
why
That's
I
right.
lost. So the second time, I'm not going to do that same thing.
Really good.
And if I lose again the second time, I know those two things that
That's
I did.
right.
So the third time, I'm not going to do it. It's all about having that motivation and that determination and that belief in yourself that it's going to happen, and you're
Yes.
going to get back up. Because guess what? We're all going to fall.
That's right.
It's all about who's going to get back up. So every time you fall, you got to have that will and that willpower and that confidence within yourself to say that I'm going to win. I'm going to get back up. And you got to keep getting back up. No matter what, you got to keep getting back up, because one thing that cannot be denied is determination.
That's right.
Listen, you preaching, girl. Listen, her biggest thing too, and we're going to talk about social media because we haven't even talked about people's social medias. We're going to do that today. Her superpower is her social media.
Yes.
Right? She has two other businesses that we're going to talk about, but I want to talk about the social media scenario first. Social media, for some people, is where they spend time occupying their mind, wasting their time. And for some people, social media is a platform that you're going to take to launch your businesses,
business, yes.
to try to monetize your skill sets, your mind, your products, right? So she utilizes her social media in a very interesting way. So what she taught me the other day, she's like, Wendell, you gotta go on TikTok. People want to hear you on TikTok. I went on Shantell's TikTok. Okay, Shantell is on TikTok sweeping. She's just talking to people, and she's monetizing her TikTok because of just the fact that people want to engage with her. And she's like, I've made thousands of dollars just talking to people on TikTok. I'm like, what?
I need to learn
the
that.
hustle.
I need to learn that.
Hold on. What did I
I'm
call
going
you
to
and
learn
tell you
that.
yesterday when we talked? Yesterday I called you and we were playing phone tag.
Right.
And I told you that I was on live for, I would say like 4 hours?
Right.
I was online for about 4 hours and I made $168 or something like that.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
the
awesome.
secret.
She's just online, just talking online.
Just talking.
She got her kids there.
just
She's
have to
talking
put
to her
yourself
kids.
out there.
She's got television playing in the background. She's like,
literally.
"Hey, go clean up, go clean up." And somebody will come on, and she'll have another person who comes online. I remember this Jamaican guy came online. He's like, "Big up yourself, big up yourself." And there's some kind of challenge, basically. I guess people supporting or donating.
Yes, yes.
So and this is not OnlyFans, ladies and
No,
gentlemen.
she's like,
Okay?
let's
This is not OnlyFans. This is
It's
just
not OnlyFans. No.
okay.
It's a platform that has been growing. Like you can't like.
She grew it
if
to about
I-
3,000
Right.
in a
Wow.
heartbeat, and there's subscribers, right?
Yeah.
And
Amazing.
the reason that's the reason she's here today. I'm like, this girl, you could just throw this girl into the Mojave Desert, and she'll wake up and do a business. Because we were talking about
Amazing.
the other business. The business that she's doing now is she started her own cleaning company.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Right?
Yes.
And that's what I would like us to have. And we're going to talk about, she's going to do a
Yes.
training course
Yes.
I've thought about it, to be
of
honest.
how to start a cleaning
Well,
company.
girl, you can join.
I
Yeah.
will.
And I'm only going to take on a maximum of 5 to 10 because I want to make sure that I prioritize
I'm
them
going
and
to
I make
join.
sure that they're successful. So I'm only going to take on a maximum of 5 to 10 people, which
Okay.
I already have 3 people that are like locked in.
I want you to take on 20. We did the numbers.
Okay.
So this is what the model is, and I'm going to teach this model. Her basic model is she's going to teach her entrepreneurial skill via Zoom,
Yes.
right? She's going to charge a subscription
Yes.
for the people that are learning. She's going to teach them. And now, when she was young, she didn't have a business plan, but now,
Yes.
when she's still young, she's got a business plan. She has a marketing plan. She has how to register the corporation. She's got it from 0 to 100, how to build a cleaning business, how to source clients, and she's going to teach that. Now watch the context. She's going to teach it to a group of individuals, right? This is a business model for anything you're doing. And these group of individuals are going to pay her a monthly fee for the period of time she's going to teach it, maybe 6 to 8 weeks, right?
Yes.
And so think about this. So let's use easy numbers. Let's say she has 20 people that she's charging $1,000 to learn this particular cleaning model. She uses some of that $1,000 to register their businesses for them. 20 times 1,000, she's made $20,000.
Yeah.
And if she's now getting 20 new clients every 6 weeks, she has her own cleaning business. She has the context of teaching and mentoring individuals. This is her idea.
Yeah.
Right?
And
That
let me
we came
just
up
say,
with. Go ahead.
sorry. Let me just give you your flowers, Wendell, because you are amazing. You continue to push me too, and
So good.
one thing in life is, and I say it all the time, is in order to be successful, truly successful in this world, you have to have the right people around you.
That's right.
You have to have the right people around you. And from the minute me and Wendell connected, which was years, 10 years now, we've always motivated each other. And we're always talking about ways to make money. And as I tell him things, he tells me things. You know what I mean? And
she lives in the boonies now. She's way
Of
up.
course you're in the boonies,
Living in
girl.
yeah, well, you know what? It's away from the distractions.
Yeah,
you know
I
what
don't
I
blame
mean?
you.
Yeah.
In life, you cannot have distractions. You know what I
But
mean?
what-
And you have to understand that people come with distractions. You have your own life, love, and you got things that are going on in your life. And if I'm a good person, those things that you're going through is going to come on
Yeah,
me.
you're
That's
right.
You get
right.
me?
Yeah.
So you got to be mindful of who you have around you, and you don't want to have
Very
too many
true.
people because too many
That
people
is
becomes
right.
too
Too
much
many
distraction.
distractions.
That's
I want you
right.
to tell me what successful person who's really rich that's going to tell you they got 10, 20 friends. They're going
No,
to tell
no,
you I
That's
got
right.
one or two
I got
friends.
one
Yeah.
or two. That's
And
right.
when I met her years ago, I'm like, who is this young kid with so much contacts?
Yeah.
Right? So she's like little sister now. Like it's like I call her, she forced me to go on vacation. This is why we're on vacation. You got to get out there and live your life. She's always she's a motivator. I've never
He's like, I'm planning the trip. I'm going to
planning the
go
trip
and
right now.
book the trip next week. And then he booked it. So I'm happy because seriously, he works so hard. He deserves his flowers.
But I've never
Flowers.
encountered a person who is an individual who, over the course, everybody has their downs and lows, but the reason I believe you're successful is you have this attitude of enthusiasm, of support. You always want to join up. She always wants to team up. There's a
Yes.
lot of people, when they have an idea, they want to keep it to themselves. And in a community, in a diaspora community where her demographic, my demographic is the minority, linking together is very very important,
Yes.
right?
Yep,
So,
absolutely.
so networking, teamwork, all these things are I think the very base ingredients of how you become a true entrepreneur. How come you haven't said nothing? We can't. You're not going to sit here the whole time.
I'm listening. I'm
Okay.
learning.
So quiet.
But
I'm
listen,
just taking it
Michelle
all
has
in.
a lot of
Michelle's
oomph to you, girl. You do.
Michelle is probably the biggest evangelist, church inviter in the history of churches. Michelle can build a church by herself.
I'm actually, yeah, that's my thing, you know, like I'm out evangelizing for the Lord. But I'm a very social person. And
She
the thing is,
a magnet.
I can speak to people. It's just, I'm not like, when it comes to building a business and so on, I think I'm more reserved. And I don't know how that happens. Like, how am I so outgoing in one sense? And then
'Cause it's the knowledge
when
you
it
don't
comes,
have
it's
yet.
the knowledge. It's
Yeah.
the fear, I think. It's the fear.
Yeah, but you
Definitely.
gotta let fear go.
It's the
You know,
fear.
listen, we got one life to live.
You're right.
You get me? And every day that we wake up, we gotta give praise to God.
Absolutely.
Always.
Because guess what? As we're sitting here right now and we're talking, a lot of people never made it today.
That's
Yeah,
right.
amen.
We're
So
under
you
His grace.
gotta let go of that fear and just believe.
Yeah.
If you're a believer in God, there's
Yeah.
no fear.
Yeah.
It just
That's right.
contradiction, right?
Yeah,
true.
exactly.
It's
If you're a
true.
believer in God, there's no fear. Why? Because God says to leave your problems to who?
To
To
Him.
Him. That's
Yeah.
right.
Don't
So at
worry
the
about
end of the day,
tomorrow.
with that being said, it means to push on. Do what you got to do. Because as I like to say to people, listen, you can only do what you can see and what you can hear, which is the easy part. But guess what? The things that you can't see and the things that you can't hear, that's going on in the back,
Speak, girl.
God's dealing with it.
You're right.
God's fixing them. So when you're
Amen.
looking
That's
for
right.
that job, or you're working a job and you're looking for that promotion, you've been working so hard, you've been pushing for that promotion, you've been doing every single thing to get that promotion with what you see and with what you hear you've been doing.
Right.
But guess what? That manager in the back that smiles in your face and says, hey, Shantell,
Yeah.
you're going to be promoted. But they're fighting against
Against you in the
Little
back.
did you know,
Yeah.
God is dealing with them.
You're right.
God
Amen.
is putting on that
Amen.
belt, dealing with them.
right.
So all you got to do is deal with the things that you can see and you can hear, and leave everything else in God's
God.
hands.
You're right.
I'm such a firm believer in that. In the last 2 years, I don't stress no more. Because I can't say I believe in God and I'm stressing.
You're stressing.
Right.
Yes.
You're
There's
right.
And you don't
five
have
of
you don't
us
have a
here.
regular job. You work for you.
For yourself.
You don't know when a check is
I
coming.
don't know.
And you don't
Right.
stress.
I trust.
Right. He
And
feeds
I'm
the
telling
birds.
you,
Yeah.
all of us can testify to this. No matter what we wanted, God has never left us astray.
That's right. He'll never
Amen
leave
to
nor
that.
forsake
God
you.
has
Amen to
never
that.
left us astray.
right.
So with that being said, things are on God's time, not our time.
on our time.
When we want things to happen now, it's not now. Because God knows when is now. And God knows when is right. It's just like a
Right.
plane. A plane cannot land if the airstrip is not cleared. It's the same thing. God cannot stop dropping those blessings into your life if your life is in a mess.
It's in a mess.
Yes.
Right.
When you see things are not
God
going the
don't
way
bless
how
mess.
life is supposed to go, step back, look around, and say, oh my gosh, I gotta fix that. Gotta fix that. Gotta fix that. And when you start to see yourself fixing those things, you'll be so shocked at how fast those blessings start to drop. Because remember, God doesn't want to drop the blessings on us to be temporary. God wants to drop the blessings on us so we keep it forever.
To be
Right.
everlasting.
Come on,
yes.
we need to
Amen.
offer.
Amen.
Listen, there's some entrepreneurs here. Let me tell you some entrepreneurs. Okay, first I'm gonna start over there and come back to you. Okay. So when I met her,
Yes.
right, and she was reaching out, she's like, Bishop, I want to come to your church. She wasn't working, and then she came up with an idea. Sister Amanda, do you remember? She came up with an idea. You know what? There's so many people in my area, out in the boonies in Bowmanville, where she was. She's like, old elderly people that need help. And she literally utilized Facebook Marketplace, and created a personal assistant company, right? Similar to you. She didn't have a business plan. She just put her on Facebook Marketplace, and she started getting clients out there hustling and making money.
Just like that, girl.
Yeah. She
Just like
didn't
that.
charge a large amount to get out there.
You got
And
it.
then eventually, as people realized how good she was, as she got busy, she started to put her money up,
Raise it.
Yeah.
right? Add more.
Exactly.
And then, but at the same time, she was simultaneously applying for jobs.
Yes.
And then got the job that she got. Entrepreneur. Right here, this young lady is a walking talking individual she's the child whisperer. Okay, right?
She
So
is.
she has her own part-time, full-time business of is it tutoring?
Tutoring.
Right, tutoring, counseling, reaching out to individuals too. I want to talk about me. And then this young lady, as we heard just recently, she just told us she has taken her insurance license, life insurance license, about to do the automotive license, and push in that particular way. So there's some entrepreneurs on the panel.
I did the automotive license.
Well, I just signed up yesterday, just to correct that, for the life. I did the home and auto before COVID, but I didn't pass the exam. So
That's okay.
I got a little discouraged, but then COVID hit, and then I actually did it twice, and I failed both times. But
That's okay.
I was gonna go back, COVID hit, and then I was like, okay, forget it right now. And then I was approached regarding the life license. I said, okay, you know what, let me do it this way. I'll go do the life, and then I will go back again and do the home and auto. So I just registered yesterday to do the life license again. I mean, not again, but the life license, and then I'll go back later and do that. So I'm pretty confident that I'm gonna get that right now, so.
And to all the people who
That's awesome.
are out there who are doing insurance, I've held the insurance license, very hard license, actually, it was very difficult. I also took the mutual funds. I had that license, I had the mortgage license. And out of the 3 of those licenses, what I found was mortgages would be the first to go to. And because it's the easiest license, but you actually make the most money because you're dealing with a larger sum of money. So if I was to give someone advice on going into that industry, I would say get your mortgage license, then get your life license. And if you're looking to do more in the financial services, you can go out into whatever area. But the mortgage and the life sometimes work together. And also, you're able to make money faster. Like when you sign a life policy, you're going to see how fast the money don't come as fast as the money potentially comes in mortgages. And so if you're studying the same thing, praise Brereton, are you out there somewhere? My daughter, I told her this. You're using your big brain to study a particular course load. My daughter is taking law, and I told her you should take engineering and then go to law school, because once you get that 4-year degree, you're going to have to get a job. So if you got a 4-year degree in engineering, right, easier to get a job, you're going to make higher money, and then you're going to go to law school. If you want to take the life license, you take the mortgage license, and then you deal with the mortgages, and the mortgages will make you a lot of money, right? And then you can function in
A lot of stress too.
A lot of stress, but yeah.
High blood pressure.
Yeah. But when we were doing business together, though, like I was doing very well with a passive mortgage business, and at the time, and we had the second mortgages, and I just wanted to be really.
That was our killer.
Yeah, that was our killer. So you get a second. You have a second or a private mortgage person, and this person is now needful of you. You can charge almost anything you want. It's whatever your fee is. That's right.
That's exactly
And you build their fee into the mortgage. The only thing you can't do is the lender will not let you charge a larger fee than their fee.
Okay.
Exactly.
So if the lender says, hey, I want 2% on this deal, right? And it's a $200,000 second, which is $4,000. You can say, well, fine, if you want 2%, I want 1.5, right? So you can walk in there and do very, very well. And remember, mortgages, if it's a private, every year that person's coming back, right? A life policy, you sign a life policy, that person's not coming back maybe for 10 years or for 20 years because they're locked into their life policy. So these financial services, you got to be smart about it. You got to be, and sometimes, yeah, and look apart. And look, no, and look apart.
Home and auto has.
Yeah, exactly.
Talk to your
Because
mic.
if you take it in, are you going to go to somebody? Are you personally going to go to somebody?
That does not look like they have money.
Exactly.
Yeah, no.
Not likely.
Exactly.
And it's crazy how image plays
Plays
a
a
part
part.
It does.
in
Yeah.
everything that you, because for real, the person that looks the part could not know doggone anything.
That's right.
Right?
true.
They could be the worst possible person to deal with. But, you know, they're the shiny thing in your view. So you're running out there and you're trying to make sure that you can capture that shiny person that's doing things.
It's true. It's true.
Exactly.
I saw the mic by your mouth. That's why I turned to you.
But home and auto is
So-
residual income.
The home and auto is
Has
residual?
Residual?
Yeah.
Oh, it has
Home and auto.
residual?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna borrow some money from you when you start.
Yeah.
making
When
it.
I get some.
Right? She'll get some. She'll get some. We're all going to get some.
Okay, I have a question. How many people on the panel, other than Shantell, how many have owned a house yet?
I have.
Owned a house yet? Owned a house?
Have a property with my mom.
Okay. I've owned and lost.
That's so
multiple.
cute.
Owned a
That's
house
so
yet?
cute.
No, not yet.
Oh, what
yet.
is that?
Yeah, I know, because
Oh.
you said you would do it with your mom.
Yeah, she has a problem with her mom.
Yeah, that's so cute.
Yeah.
No, it's so cute. That's so cute.
So what do we do now? So for homeowners, right? How do you, in this new climate where, and you're in Toronto, the average house is $1 million, right? You've never owned a house before, so we've got Sister Amanda and millions of people online who are like this. You've never owned a house before. How do you break in to, and everybody will have an idea here. I have my own individual idea. But how are you going to break into this market at $1 million buy-in?
You
That's
don't.
the question.
To me, it's almost impossible
That's
right
the
now.
question.
I think you don't. I think right now is chilling season.
Yeah.
You
Ride
know,
the wave.
it's time to stack up. It's time to work on your credit, work on whatever situations
That's
that
huge.
you're faced with that will allow you to climb that ladder to where you need to be at within the next, I would say, 2-3 years.
Yes.
So that when the market fixes itself a bit,
You're ready.
you could get into it.
But will the market ever be less than $1 million buy-in?
And the
answer is
cost
no.
of living
It's
keeps
gonna go
raising.
up, right?
It's going to keep going up at the same time too, but then the market right now, it's really tight. So it's like putting yourself in the market right now is like, it's not easy.
No, you're right.
It's not easy
I have an
owning
idea.
a property.
It's hard.
We were just talking about it a second ago. It's not easy. You got your mortgage payment. You got your property taxes. You got hydro. You got electricity. You got water bill. You got all those bills. Plus, on top of it, you got maintenance. Say the toilet's not working. You got to pay out of pocket for that. Say the sink's not working. You got to pay for that.
Yeah.
You know? So there's a lot more expenses that comes with a house that people don't realize.
Lots of
You know?
expenses.
And be very mindful that majority of your payment is going to interest and not principal.
That's
Yeah.
right.
You know? So when you're thinking that you're building up a whole bunch of equity,
You're not.
listen,
Yeah,
it
it's
ain't
true.
happening unless the market's going up.
You got an idea? How are you going to break into this market?
I got to fix my credits. That's my thought.
So credit first. You gotta deal
Credit,
with your
credit, yes. Networking,
Okay, that. Okay.
That's a
Big.
good one, girl.
yes.
How are you going to break into this
Networking.
market?
Like they say, you can
Side
find one.
hustles to earn more money to get a down payment.
Okay, because down payment is key.
I agree. Stacking, just holding my corner,
Yes.
building myself up as much as I can.
Exactly.
Now, do you want to hear my
Yeah,
million
you
dollar
next.
We
idea?
do.
Of course,
We do.
I want to
absolutely.
hear what you
my
have to say.
idea? All right. This is not rocket science come from me. I am going to go follow.
Mutual funds.
No. It is mutual funds.
Stocks.
It is mutual funds. It's mutual funds. It is doing what the Asian community did, the Chinese community has done, the Indian community has done. They have gone with groups of people, and they said that we are going to buy a property as a
property.
group,
Yeah.
Yep.
right? And certain communities, we won't mention who, can't work together, unfortunately, but you go and you buy a property together as a group. I don't care if there's 10 of you.
Yes.
Right? You get on the title, you sign a trust agreement, you have a share agreement, you have a disposition agreement. When are we going to dispose of this property? At what price point? And then you take your individual monies, if it's enough, and then you go buy your own property. If you can't buy your own property the first time, you do that again together as a conglomerate, as a group.
Yes.
You Airbnb the property, you rent the property, you wait for the property value to rise, and then you break into the market. That is the only way that I see that individuals who are middle class have the capacity, because $1 million means that if you need to put 20% down, you got to put $200,000 down, right? So you have to come together now as communities, as consortiums, as small groups, break into markets, hopefully markets, maybe not in Toronto, maybe you don't start in Toronto, maybe you start in Niagara, you start in another northern remote area,
Yes.
and move your way to urban sectors where you are now doing things together. What is a mutual fund? A mutual fund is a bunch of people
Sorry, can I
buying
say
a stock
something
together.
quickly to
This
what
is
you
the same
said?
thing. Yes, go ahead.
Doing that is not as easy.
No.
Coming together as a group.
A contract.
I have a pre-construction that I'm dealing with right now.
It's another business?
No, I have
2 minutes? You
I
got
have
2
two other properties.
Okay.
Pre-construction, and I've invested with other people. And like you said, that's exactly what my vision was to help our Black community to come together to invest and buy property. And it's not as easy as, trust me.
No, I believe
I'm
you.
dealing with it right now. I don't really want to talk too much about it, but it's not easy. I would never do it again in my life. As I said, I'm a firm believer in just doing it by yourself, because
understand that, yeah.
it seems so amazing and it seems so easy, but when you get in it, I'm at a point right now where I don't even care.
Conflict of interest.
I'd
clash of
rather just
personalities.
walk away and
Wow.
even my money that's there.
You don't
keep it.
care.
Did you have a contract at the beginning?
We have all of those things that are set out. It's
Okay.
just that it just becomes problematic. You know what I mean? Especially when fallouts start to happen and it's just not as easy. It's just not as easy,
see
you
that.
know? One of the parties that I did a pre-construction with passed away. It's just not easy, man. It's not as easy as they make
Everything
it
falls
seem.
on her.
Just saying it is easy, but we all have our own opinions, and we all feel like this is our it's much more. I'm just a high believer in, especially if it's your first property, sit back, build up yourself, do it by yourself.
Amen. Yep.
Do it by yourself. You don't have to answer to nobody. You don't got to go through no fallouts.
Right.
You don't have to be wondering if you just want to just take the loss and just walk away. You don't want to deal with that. Just do it by yourself. Sometimes it takes more time, but trust me, your peace of mind is the most.
I
like
agree.
that, but I also think two heads are better than one. And you just have to be really mindful of who you're coming together with.
Get married. Rapid fire. We're going to
Wonderful.
take one rapid fire from the
Yeah.
guests.
Thank you.
Chanel, read it out. What does it say?
How, as Christians, do we deal with anger in the workforce?
Okay.
Within my family and myself.
How, as Christians,
great question
do you
for what
deal
we
with
did.
anger in the workforce, in a business scenario, with your family and yourself? Who's taking that one?
You're smiling. You go.
I know it.
How do you deal with it? Walking with the Holy Spirit. Okay. No, but
Fruits of the Spirit.
Fruits of the Spirit.
To the spirit.
Fruits of the Spirit.
How about when they
Joy,
take the fruits of the
peace.
Spirit from
Okay,
you?
well, I think dealing with that is being just being respectful. I mean, you treat others the way you want to be treated, so you know you can't act away at work. So you know you expect that same respect to be given towards you in the workforce. In terms of handling it on a daily basis with people, fruits of the Holy Spirit.
Okay. For me, I work for the school board, and I work in classrooms. So one of my very close coworkers, one thing he said to me, because I'm the new kid on the block, is that he says, you have to be wise. He's a man of God. So he says, be wise, Shantell, be wise. And he says that to me because you have to learn the environment that you're working in. So if you know that you're working with people that you can't necessarily trust them, then you need to know that you need to watch what you say. You deal with people with respect. You take on things that you can take on. If it's too big for you, then learn to leave it alone. If there is a conflict, you have to be really mindful of, well, do I want to stick in this or do I want to just rectify it? Sometimes you might not get the last word, right? And we always want to have the last word. We don't want to feel belittled. But I think you just have to be mindful and realistic that this is my job and I'm here to do my job, and then I'm going to go home. So just to be mature, if you can be mature.
Is it anger as in the anger is directed at you?
At you,
or
yes.
Or
you're
both
the one
ways.
that's angry?
You're angry, they're angry. Probably you're angry. It's probably.
I've been dealing with anger lately, so let me just leave that one. I'm the way I've been dealing with anger, I can say, not very well lately. Had to pray a lot about it, but I've come a long way. In terms of people, anger being directed at me, whether it be work, I've never really had to deal with that in my workplace, so I can't answer to that. But if there was anger directed at me through someone at work, I think for me, I just wouldn't even acknowledge it in terms of I wouldn't go head on as in a fight with them. I'll just let them rant and rave and do whatever they're doing, and then I'll just keep it moving. When it comes to work, I don't think that I would get into that battle with somebody. It's just not worth it.
It is well with your soul approach.
It is well, yeah.
How would I deal with anger?
Especially when money's involved.
Yeah.
That's a whole other level, right?
Honestly, how would I deal with anger? I don't know. It's so hard. I'm so mindful with who I keep around me.
Yes.
So
Shantell, just tell me you get them one cuss. Let's be honest. This be true.
no, you know what? Cussing is it gets you more angry when you cuss.
It does.
You get me? And it gets your energy more up, and you don't want to be like that. You know what I mean? So I'm very mindful with who I bring around me. You know what I mean? If I see that you have a little bit of thing you could always tell somebody
Stay
who's
away.
going to be
That's right.
problematic.
You have to be a good judge of character.
If I see something, I'm just staying far clear of you.
That's right.
You know what I mean? I don't want to even talk to you. You know what I mean? I'm going to stay clear from you because my peace of mind is everything, and I don't want nobody to disrupt my peace of mind.
Priceless.
And I don't want nobody to get me to a level as to showing a character that I am not. Right. You know what I mean? So I'm just going to walk away.
You're going to do what Sister Michelle does.
And I'm not going to talk to the person no more.
The Bible says that we can be angry, but to sin not. And it's concept of, we have to be in a position where we can turn the other cheek, where people will push us to our limit, as you're mentioning, and then we have to turn the other cheek.
Yes.
And my last solution, after, you walk away and then you turn the other cheeks, and then I run out of cheeks, I will invite them to my boxing club and put some boxing gloves on them and beat their tail.
Let's go.
And then take the gloves off and pray for them and take them to somebody. This is Bishop Wendell Brereton, and we are
the Beloved Podcast.
We'll see you next time, 10 Maplewood Avenue. We are Emmanuel Church of Jesus Christ. To our first guest, Shantell D. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you to the awesome queens, and thank you to the king.
Yes.
Appreciate
We
it,
learned
guys.
so much.
Thanks
from
for
that.
being with
you.
us.
See you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye. To Batman in the booth.
Batman.
Remember to like, comment, and subscribe as we share the Word of God through Emmanuel Church of Jesus Christ Apostolic.